Prime Minister Narendra Modi is en route to the United States of America. Amid the race for the White House, Prime Minister's three-day visit to the United States of America begins today, and it is packed with engagements and high-level meetings. This is Prime Minister Narendra Modi's first visit to the United States since he took oath for the third time. The first program on Prime Minister's agenda will be annual Quad Summit, and after that, bilateral meeting with United States President Joe Biden is also on the cards. Prime Minister is also scheduled to hold several bilateral meetings with other Quad leaders where discussions will be on defense, technology, collaboration, strategies to address the ongoing global conflicts, including the situation in Ukraine and even in Gaza.
Any deliverables that you could expect from Prime Minister's visit right now? Because you were there. It's kind of, you were there setting up the stage for this visit. So anything we can expect?
So my sense of the Prime Minister's visit and the Quad Summit that's going to happen is that India and the United States and Japan and Australia, the four great democracies of the Indo-Pacific, basically stand on the same side of things. They believe in democracy. They believe in human freedom. They believe in freedom of assembly and press. They believe in, the things that create the software of productive countries and unleash the potential of free people. And they believe that not only for ourselves, but for all of the countries of the Indo-Pacific. So the Quad Summit is more about the values we espouse, and it frankly pushes back against the kind of bullying and intimidation that other kinds of countries indulge in that we find completely unacceptable and which create unnecessary burden and pressure on our allies and friends. So I'm very happy that it's happening. I think it's a very great sense of commitment by these four countries, and particularly by the U.S. and India.
This would be President Biden's last Quad Summit. What kind of legacy would he want to leave? I mean, we've seen, Quad becoming more central in the last 4 years or so. What kind of legacy would you think he would want to leave with this last summit?
So, Rohit, I've seen a lot of continuity in government initiatives by the United States and by India over the past 25 years. I feel like President Biden's presidency fits exactly within that continuity in the sense that some of the initiatives that have been launched in this presidency include the Initiative on Critical and Emerging Technology, the Innovation Handshake, and the Indus-X Defense Accelerator. All three were launched with both governments and USIBC and the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, and they're focused on the technology convergence. So, as other governments worked on the Civnuke deal and the military agreements and, fending off the Galwan episode, so this government has focused on technology, and it's very focused on the lessons that we all learned from the pandemic, especially on supply chains and building communities of trust. And the U.S. and India are essentially high-trust economies that can lean on one another as the 21st century unfolds.
Why is this event different than the ones we've seen before? The Prime Minister's been to the U.S. so many times. This is his fourth time speaking. Back to New York, where it all started with the Madison Square Garden event in 2014. How's this different, and what can you tell us? Just give us a brief rundown if you can.
Sure. So it's different in fewer ways than it's the same, in that it's a volunteer-powered event, as have been previous ones. It's been 10 years. So we've learned a lot of lessons along the way on how to streamline our processes. And it's really an incredible feat to see what hundreds of people can do if they come together for a singular cause. And the cause is to have an amazing event that celebrates the Indian American diaspora, our Indian culture, our civilizational ethos, and the U.S.-India partnership. So the ways in which it is same is that it was incredibly popular. We have over 13,200 people coming. And the registration for the number of people that wanted to come was twice that.
Right.
So the ticket is a lucky ticket. It's like Willy Wonka. It's a golden ticket. 1 and 2 basically got a pass to come in.
My colleague Rohit Sharma is now joining me from New York. Rohit, the big question at the moment is, will Prime Minister Narendra Modi also be meeting Donald Trump? And with elections so close, how important is Prime Minister's visit to the United States of America?
Well, good morning to everybody. No, we don't know yet. I think it's a very interesting question. It's a question on everybody's mind right now, with President Donald Trump going out of his way and sort of, stating what he did, saying that he's going to meet the Prime Minister. But we've talked to a lot of, sources here in New York, in D.C. It seems that, Prime Minister Modi, would either meet both the leaders, which would be Vice President Kamala Harris and President Trump, or he would not meet any of them. So it seems like the at this point in time nobody's confirming or denying anything. This is a high stake visit. Anything can happen. Schedules can change last minute. Everybody's tracking what's going on. But so far, no indication, at least from the Indian side, that if Prime Minister Modi will actually end up meeting President Trump.
Well, Rohit, from what we are understanding at the moment, one of the things that they will speak about is the ongoing global conflict. So that's also, I think, will be the focus and one of the key issues that will be discussed amongst all the leaders.
Absolutely. I think, the fact that Prime Minister is addressing the Summit for Future, and how India is seen at the global stage right now. I mean, we've seen President Vladimir Putin coming out and saying that India can play the role. And look, if you look around the world, there's only one country in the world that actually can talk to the West and also can talk to the Russians. So obviously, India has a very, very critical role to play, especially right now. He's going to be meeting with President Biden. There's going to be a Quad summit. There will also be a bilateral between President Biden and Prime Minister Modi. So a lot of things at stake. A lot depends on what we have achieved. When I say we, as in India has achieved, we've seen our NSA go to Russia recently. He was there. We've seen Prime Minister travel to Ukraine and Russia, and now the Prime Minister coming to the US. So there will be a lot of discussion about it, and I think everybody sort of are looking at what the messaging has been from, especially when it comes to Russia and Ukraine conflict, from the Russians to NSA Doval and to Prime Minister, and what would be he discussing with President Biden. So India could be playing the ultimate peacemaker's role here, and I think that's one thing to watch out for from this visit.
Right, Rohit, because on one side we are seeing what's taking place between Russia and Ukraine. On the other side, we are seeing what's happening in Israel, between Israel and Hezbollah. So on both the fronts, we are seeing that, globally, things are not that fine. So can we also expect some kind of a blueprint or maybe the way going forward on how to deal with these conflicts? Because even though the conflicts are regional, the impact can be felt across the world.
Absolutely. And I think you will see that being discussed in multiple bilateral meetings that Prime Minister is scheduled to have here in New York. He's going to be meeting with Quad leaders. This topic will definitely come up. I mean, we've seen from some of the readouts, from especially on the American side, as to what they want to talk about. One of the things that they want to talk about is regional peace. They want to talk about sustaining in this highly polarized geopolitical environment. So yes, there will be talks about it. But right now, I think everybody is honestly focused upon how can India play that role of being a peacemaker, and I think a lot remains to be seen when Prime Minister lands here in the US.
Right. Thank you, Rohit, for giving us all those details. My colleague Rohit Sharma giving us the details from New York. Prime Minister Narendra Modi all set for a 3-day jam-packed session at the United States of America.